Now, this afternoon, new data from the COVID-19 Business Tracker Survey results reveal that businesses in Ghana continue to recover from the shocks caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. The World Bank report indicates that the third wave identified multiple recovery pathways such as sales, access to inputs, finance, employment, as compared to the 2020 second round data. Here are some details that we're going to be sharing with you on your screens there. It helps us appreciate the fact that considerable decline in the rate of reduction in hours worked. Also, we saw wage reductions and leave without pay. The World Bank is also noting that government stimulus package increased SME sales by 22%. Also, 7 out of 10 businesses use mobile money transactions. It also further helps us understand the fact that, situations related to, various, injections from the World Bank remains key for the development of Ghana's economy. Let's take a listen to a senior economic researcher at the World Bank, helping us and appreciate contributions the bank is making to deepen Ghana's economic growth amid the pandemic.
At the same time, it's worth noting that we are not still back to the pre-COVID situation either. And that has both negative sides and positive sides. On the negative side, I think it's worth flagging that not all firms are recovering in the same way. There remains a group of firms that is still reporting much lower sales compared to before the pandemic. And second, many firms still report shortages in supplies, especially those that participate in global value chains, which is worrisome. Addressing these issues, therefore, is a very important challenge, not only for the government, but for the development partners and us all as well. But there's also a positive side, which I would like to highlight. And this is, in my view, what we're observing, namely the increased reliance on digital technologies and mobile money. In other words, firms are adopting and have, as a result of the pandemic, accelerated their use of new technologies that we think will allow them to operate more efficiently and more productively in the future. In fact, our recent country economic memorandum, which we titled Ghana Rising, identified the ability of firms to adopt new technologies as a very crucial component for spurring growth going forward. I'd like to now say a few words on what the World Bank is doing in partnership with the government of Ghana to mitigate the negative impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and leverage also some of the positive transformations that the crisis may have catalyzed. The bank has approved a $250 million loan to boost access to finance for enterprises to the Ghana Development Finance Project, and some $315 million in funding for projects supporting digitalization, jobs, and skills. This is on top of already existing efforts by the World Bank to provide emergency preparedness and response funding and IFC investments in them. Broadly, the World Bank believes the private sector development is key to sustaining economic growth and creating jobs for Ghana's youth. The Ghana Economic Transformation Project, financed through a $200 million loan, seeks to do precisely that, to promote private sector development and firm growth in non-resource based.
Well, we'll still stay with the World Bank because another report indicates that Ghana had accumulated significant government arrears prior to COVID-19. This is far higher than the projected arrears post-COVID. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletins as we examine what exactly this report entails. But let's now talk about fuel prices because it has hit almost 8 cedis per litre following about 4% increase in prices of petroleum products at the pumps beginning yesterday. As usual, Total has taken the lead, selling both a litre of petrol and diesel at 7 cedis 99 pesos respectively. It is expected that the other oil marketing companies will follow suit, particularly leading firms Shell, Goil, and Puma. Take a listen to some consumers on the streets reacting to what's happening at the pumps.
It's going to affect me because, you see, day in and out, they increase fuel. I don't know what is happening in this Ghana. Day in and out, they increase fuel. I don't know. So it definitely, it's like, it affects me a lot. Okay, so in terms of transportation problem and all that. Today, this morning that I had a free car, so I didn't feel it too much for today. But when I'm going back, BAMS I have to take car, and these things are increased. That's two. He has to immediately, because it's too much. It's too much. So that is it. Yeah. All right.
Because the passengers will talk. If you charge them, they will talk. Because the fuel prices is too going far this time around. Every week they are increase the fuel prices, so we can't get money to save and to do some things. So it affects us other ways, reduce the fuel price for us, because it will affect us every other ways. It will affect us every week. They increase the fuel, so it's not good for do that.
Every day they continue to increase these fuel prices. And this morning when I came, see how I've bought a fuel like 500, but it's not full out to the extent that I used to buy fuel. So I don't know what to do, and we don't know. Even everybody is complaining. Everybody is complaining. Even our boss too are complaining about this fuel matter. So we don't know what we want to do so that the government. So we are trying to plead to the government. It should make something about it so that we can see that everything. It's actually giving us a lot of problem, because my budget has become higher. The increment, because of the increment, so it has become higher, and I can't do anything about that.
Oh, this time if you go work, you don't get anything because of fuel increment. You work, you take your money buy for all money you take buy for. You don't get anything to do anything.
Well, you heard there's some drivers saying that each and every week fuel prices keep increasing. Well, the former finance minister said Tekpa is calling for a counter-cyclical policy that would, avert this situation, including the strategic stock policy to address the rising fuel prices on the market. According to him, storing adequate petroleum stocks in time of low price of crude oil plus other tactical policy measures will keep fuel prices and transport fares low.
When the ESLA was passed, one of the things we did, and I think it was covered in graphic recently, was, to take the money that was earmarked in the ESLA, not the entire amount, for payment of subsidy, and to start, what we call the strategic stock, policy, which many countries implement. And the strategic stock policy is a counter-cyclical policy. When we say counter-cyclical, it means certain things move in cycles, right? So you have commodity prices going up, up, then it goes down, right? Then as if in the pendulum it keeps swinging, and then it goes up again. So you are in this circle, which if you do not do anything about, it gives you the expression vicious what? Circle, right? So without that, subsidy only was not the answer. And so what did other countries and other institutions do or recommend? And we started a strategic stock, which I must say was behind the creation of BOS, bulk oil storage, right? To store bulk oil, you can look at it in terms of we have now become, an oil producing country. Can we store the oil, and wait for prices to, when the prices are low, and then sell to make some money? Or in terms of the consumption, which you are talking about, can we stock crude when the prices are low and then sell, when the prices increase? And we did start it. And I must say that it is one of the policies that help us to stop petrol queues, right? And it's also one of the policies that help us to liberalize. Remember, we announced a liberalization in 2015, 2016, and still be able, to manage the price at the pump. And what do? You do just what other countries with strategic stocks do. When the crude you bought when the prices were low, you release as the price is going up. Remember, you bought them low. So if you bought them at, say, $35 per barrel, right, and prices are going up and it hits 55, and you know that if it hits 60, it will start, people will start feeling the pinch. That is adjustments taking place. Then what do? You release at 53, 55.
Watching the marketplace, still to come, Pamela Johnson Tete appointed the new managing director of the Airport Company Limited. We'll explore the possible priorities that she must consider as she takes over from Yao Kwakwa, who submitted his resignation as MD of the company effective the close of day today. Stay with us for details on this. Welcome back. Pamela Johnson Tete has been appointed the new managing director of the Ghana Airports Company Limited effective Friday, the 18th of February. Her appointment follows an emergency meeting at the Airport Company Board. Pamela Johnson Tete has over 25 years of experience in senior management, including 9 years in the mining industry, 9 years in the manufacturing sector, and 5 years in the power sector. She takes over from Yao Kwakwa, who submitted his resignation as the MD of the Ghana Airports Company Limited effective the close of day today. But what must be her priority? Helping us discuss is Sean Mendes, aviation expert. Sean, we're grateful that you could join us. Day in and day out, you keep seeing changes in the Airport Company Limited, but of course, we do know that the vision continues to remain key. Now that we have a woman on board, she's the third female actually to head the Airport Company Limited. What in your consideration must be her priority?
Thanks for having me, Charles. Yes, it's interesting to see a change in the management at the airports company. This particular new managing director doesn't have an experience in the aviation sector. So, she's not going to be able to come in with a list of technical priorities, so to speak. But I think where GACL, it's a very competent technically as an organization, but where they have struggled for the last few years has been in terms of their strategic priorities. So I think in terms of where her priorities are, if I could list 3 areas, I think the first one is to rehabilitate the image of the company. GACL has been in the news for the last couple of years for the wrong reasons. It's been controversy over the concession given to Frontiers Healthcare to run the COVID testing. There's been a recent controversy over McDan and their FBO. There's been issues with staff strikes and demands for management changes. So this is an opportunity for the new MD to have a clean slate, so to speak, and to rehabilitate the image of the airports company with the different stakeholders. So I think that would probably be one of the top priorities for the incoming managing director.
Interesting. But, in your earlier submission, you quite mentioned the fact that she has little to no experience in aviation. Of course, this is a sector that really demands technical know-how to, pull the strings, literally when it comes to managing the airport company. How is it really going to impact her delivery?
Well, an airport is not something that one person can run, and the team below her is very competent. I've worked extensively with them over the last 15 years or so, and I have great confidence in them. What she needs to do, and I think this is a very important priority for them as well, is to ensure that they are ready for the rebound of air traffic in 2022. For the last 2 years, I think most of companies in the aviation sector have been in survival mode. They've been just looking at how can we get through the pandemic. But as we've seen in 2021, domestic traffic in Ghana already rebounded to 100% effectively of 2019 levels. Even international traffic crossed 1 million passengers for the first time since 2019. So, it may not be back to normal, but it needs to start heading back to normal. And I think it may be actually a good thing to have an outsider there to keep the focus away from just the survival and back towards growth, towards managing an ongoing airport rather than just ensuring that the airport is still there and financially solvent for the future.
Indeed, and we're going to see how she delivers as MD of the Airport Company Limited. We wish her all the best in her endeavor. But of course, Sean, just before you leave, you have cited the priorities that you want her to major in. But help us also understand some of the challenges that she's going to be confronting. Briefly.
Well, I think the biggest challenge that the manager of any government-related organization is the ability to ensure that the priorities of the organization are safeguarded when put up against the political priorities of other stakeholders. The airports company is fully government owned, but yet it is nominally independent. And therefore, it has to be able to balance its own books. It must be able to generate its own revenues. So it's key then that when they start projects like the projects they've started in Kumasi and Tamale and Sunyani, that they must be able to finish these projects off to be able to get the revenue back for the capital that they've expended on them. So to be able to just navigate these political waters and ensure that what is being done, where money is being spent, where priorities and resources are being allocated, are in the best interest of the airport company and of the aviation sector in general.
We'll see how that goes. Shawn Mendes, grateful for your time once again. He's an aviation expert helping us understand and appreciate some priorities that the newly appointed MD of Airport Company Limited must consider as she takes office tomorrow. Away from that, Senior Economist and Project Manager for Monitoring and Analyzing Food and Agricultural Policies Program, Christian Delagen, says that the over-reliance on cocoa is risky to the future of Ghana's agricultural sector, hence the need for the country to diversify the industry. We have more of this report by Beverly Brown.
Cocoa makes Ghana's agricultural industry an indication that there is over-reliance on the commodity to the detriment of other crops. Recently, a report by Reuters suggested that Ghana's graded and sealed cocoa arrivals have dropped by 42%. Christian Delagen, senior economist, believes that the future of Ghana's agricultural industry is in danger if the country fails to vary the sector.
What is definitely very important for the future of Ghana's agricultural sector is that it diversifies its agriculture, and I think this is not this message is not new, but it's the over-reliance on cocoa is risky, and therefore it's very important that the government invests in diversifying the agricultural sector, diversifying exports, incentivizing the production of different products, whether those are horticultural products in fruits and vegetables, or whether it is also whether it's investing in grains and higher productivity in grains. This is all very important for the future of the agricultural sector.
Christian added that the MAFA program is implemented by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to support the process of agricultural transformation.
We're focusing both on crops and livestock. And really the objective of the program is to drive the transformation of agriculture by helping the government to make evidence-based policy and investment decisions. And why is that important? Because in the end, farmers and agribusinesses are the ones who are investing the most in agriculture, who are investing the most in their own future and in Ghana's future. But to make sure that they are supported, that they make the right investment decisions, that they maintain trust in agricultural growth, it is very important that they are supported by an enabling environment.
Monitoring and Analyzing Food and Agricultural Policies, MAFA program, has 8 main partners in sub-Saharan Africa. In Ghana, the program began in 2021 and is expected to end in 2026.
Now, some farmers have accused banks of refusing to fund agribusiness. According to the president of the Sweet Potato Value Chain Association, Emmanuel Dake, the banks lack understanding of the importance of agri-financing to the economy. He believes the lack of enthusiasm by banks to support producers of orange flesh sweet potato is hinged on government's lack of interest in orange flesh sweet potato. He spoke at the sweet potato multi-stakeholder meeting.
Players along the orange flesh sweet potato value chain have criticized government for the lack of support for the sector. According to them, this has influenced banks to limit support to the sweet potato value chain. Here's President of the Sweet Potato Value Chain Association, Emmanuel Dake.
We've been to the Ministry of Agriculture. We are trying to engage still. We are saying this crop is an orphan crop. Attention is not being given to it as we thought it would be given. since Kofi Annan himself was in Ghana, and the government accepted it should be one of the crops. The number of vines even distributed to the districts are so poor. The ones they distributed, I think, a year ago was for only for 3 acres for the whole country. On the financing aspect, I quite say that strongly and emphatically that the banks don't understand agri-financing. So they are lacking. Attention is not being given to this. The banks don't know, or if they know, they are refusing to do. And I think the government has to lead this thing.
Sweet potato breeder and researcher with the Crop Research Institute of the CSIR, Kojo Adofo, disclosed that the Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa invested 80,000 cedis to promote production and consumption of orange-fleshed sweet potato.
AGRA has given us a funding for a consortium to push the agenda of the orange-fleshed sweet potato, which is one of the key crops we research on. As an institution, we receive 80,000 for this one-year project we are running. And for that matter, capacity building was our main task. And beyond that, we also to provide pre-basic seed. That is the highest grade of quality planting material that we need to start every business of seed as far as the crop is concerned. So we've done our best, and we've even gone beyond the target that we set for ourselves to do under this consortium.
Meanwhile, project manager for OFSP at Fresh Logistics, Benedicta Bartels, highlights the benefits of investing in the orange-fleshed sweet potato value chain.
Looking at the foreign market, over the past few years, the demand for sweet potato has been increasing. Between 2018 to 2019, it increased by 23%. And then the demand, as at that time, was over $6 million worth. So the investment opportunity in this area is very high, both to our farmers, medium-scale investors, high-scale investors, anyone. I would advise any investor out there to invest in sweet potato because the crop has a short harvesting period, and then it's easy to manage, and people are gradually accepting it. And you know, a lot of people are health conscious now, so they would want to go in for food which are rich in vitamins and which can help with their health. So people would want such food.
Just before we leave, ECG is working to empower men and women by integrating gender considerations into its energy operations, knowledge development and technical assistance. Under its gender and social inclusion, the ECG, the Women in Engineering wing of ECG, is focusing on closing gender gaps across its business lines by mentoring 100 girls within Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. We have more in this report.
ECG Women in Engineering, a chapter under Women in Engineering Ghana, in its quest to bridge the gap between male and female engineers in the country, have selected some 100 junior high school girls within the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis to groom them to ensure they become engineers in future. Amasaman District Engineer Benedicta Opokumensa, lamenting on available statistics of male and female gap in engineering, said the number of women in engineering is very small compared to the total number of engineers in Ghana. She said the mentorship by WINE is charting a path where they would encourage female students to study engineering.
When you come to the job space, the number of women in engineering is very minimal compared to the totals. And for this reason, we are trying to chart a path where we would hold the hand of the young girls from junior high school and start encouraging them to do engineering. Some of us didn't have this opportunity, but we ended up in that space. So we think that if we open up to the young girls who are in JHS, to demystify the mess about science to them, they may be encouraged. And in the long run, the outcome of this will be that more girls would go into engineering, and the gap between male and female in the engineering workspace will be bridged in the near future.
That'll be all for the marketplace. I'm Charles Aite. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs.